Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 10th Justin and Tyler Movie Awards, and this is our big honkin' miscellaneous awards video. Easily one of the biggest videos of this awards every single year, and this is where we give the awards that no one else gives but Tyler and I, and there's a variety of reasons for that. We like to think it's because we're unique.
We are.
Exactly. So, the miscellaneous awards, if this happens to be your first time, we shouldn't presume that everyone that's watching has watched before. If this is your first time, I say that to you as if I wasn't the one presuming. So, if you've never watched this before, here's what you should expect to see in this video. We give awards for movies, 3 movies each that we expected more from, 3 movies each that we expected less from in 2023, 1 movie each that we can't believe we loved, 1 movie each that we can't believe we hated. We have 2 brand new awards for 2023, which we do every single year. Each one of us chooses a brand new award that we each give an answer for, and we'll talk about those in a minute. And then we have the staples, the one each staple for us. For me, it's my I Don't Get It award, and for Tyler, it's the venerable, the incredible, the fantastical,
Yes.
the Castle award.
Yes. The best award.
The single best award in any award show anywhere ever, and I don't think that's hyperbole. I think that's truth. We seek truth.
And facts don't care about your feelings.
And we're going to kick off the miscellaneous awards with the awards for the movies that we expected more from in 2023. I'm going to kick things off because 2 of mine are very similar. So I kind of want to lay the framework here in my first one for my second one later. We go back and forth on them. We're going to go back and forth on them. But I'm going to start with a movie that I lovingly refer to as Mithrigan. And it's Megan. And this was literally the first movie that I saw in 2023. Yeah. So I'm sitting here thinking like, uh-oh, if this is the precedent that we're setting for films in 2023, this might be a long year.
Right.
And not that I hated this movie, because I certainly didn't. But I went into it, like, from watching the trailer and understanding the premise, I went into it hoping and expecting that there was going to be some kind of conversation about, like, there's a lot of themes that are presented as, like, and I kind of wanted it to buck against this trend that horror movies can't explore these, like, important ideas and worthwhile ideas, because like you watch the trailer for Megan, and if you don't know, Megan's the movie about the little like AI Chucky doll girl, basically like an AI companion, and I'm like, okay, there's opportunities here to like have a conversation about AI, because that's like, you know, a prescient issue, and have conversations about parenthood, have conversations about like, because the movie's very clearly about like attachment theory. And it's an opportunity for this movie to kind of have conversations about this. And at the very least, even surface level conversations about them. So that was my expectation going in. And unfortunately, it has the opportunity to do this and doesn't do any of them. It presents the ideas, but it doesn't actually discuss any of them. It doesn't make any kind of worthwhile contribution to any of those conversations, and not that it had to, right. But my problem was that was my expectation. I went into it expecting that it was gonna, with this opportunity literally like right in front of its face, I thought it would do that, and unfortunately it didn't. So that's why it was one of the more, like, it was a disappointment right out the gate for 2023, and I'm like, oh no, if this is the precedent for the year, this might be a long year. So that's why Mithrigan makes my list.
Yeah, so before I comment on that, yeah, these awards are fun because and different because they do tackle expectations.
Right.
Which, like, critics and stuff don't really want to mention because they want to say, oh, I go in, try not to have expectations, which is stupid because
Right.
you're human.
It's
So
impossible.
This calls to attention our own flaws as humans. Like you said, Mithrigan didn't have to do any of that. That's your fault, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's interesting about this.
It's totally mine.
I don't remember if I expected more from Mithrigan. I just know that looking back, it made quite a bit of money. So and I know that had a lot of hype. So I
It did.
probably expected a little bit more from this robot doll movie. I don't even remember a ton about it. I do remember thinking that it wasn't scary or funny.
Right.
But I didn't hate the movie either, and I remember thinking that the beginning was inspired, but I can't remember why.
Right.
Because when it, like the first 10 minutes or so, I was like, like this might be really good, and then it
Right.
just tapered off a little bit.
I was also disappointed that I had to go to the bathroom, so I missed the big dumb trailer dance moment.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the funniest part of the trailer, and I missed it because I had to go to the bathroom. So I'm like, damn
That
it, I
sucks.
didn't even get the good trailer moment. So it is what it is.
But that's a good pick.
Yeah.
Alright, so my first pick for this is Nimona.
Oh yeah.
The animated movie that was getting a ton of praise, which is why I ultimately ended up watching it. Because I thought, well, it's probably decent or whatever, and I don't know that I need to see it. And then everyone was like, man, this might be one of the best movies of the year at that time. And I thought, well, all right, now we got to do it.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Like it's an okay movie, which is what pretty much I'm pretty sure all these movies will end up being. Okay. Nimona as a character, they were going for this like punk rock riot girl like energy, right? And that's great. That's fun. That can be done really well. I found her annoying for most of it. The movie was okay. The movie got a little better at the end. It got some heart, and I was like, wow, if the rest of the movie was this good, I would probably be right up there. Not, it's one of the best movies, but solid 8 out of 10,
Yeah.
which would get it on my list more than likely. We're going to go culture war, though, a little bit on this, because I saw so much of the praise from this that I saw was because of the issues it tackles, which is trans stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's all well and good, you know. I think the creator was bi gender or something. I'm like, that's fine, but I'm sorry. You gotta do more than that for me. Like, just throwing out an issue doesn't do anything for me anymore, especially since it gets talked about all the time, like in the media, right? Like, I don't watch something and go, oh, because it's this, I got to put it on this other level. I'm going to be like, okay, that's fine for those who need it. That's great, whatever. But how is it as a movie? And it's not that well made. It's not that funny. She's annoying. And it gets by a lot on just the fact that it's important. And I'm like, I'm sorry, this isn't an issue that nobody's talking about.
Right.
Maybe if it was something so obscure that really needed to be discussed, I might be like, well, you know, it does, you know, bring something to the forefront, but it's not, right? But so I had to go a little culture war to start, but I did see that that's why so many critics really liked it.
Right.
And I was like, I'm just not impressed by that anymore. It doesn't matter. Like, have LGBT movies, and I'll watch a bunch of them. And there's a bunch I'll really like. And it's not that this movie itself necessarily throws it in your face.
No.
It's not like, hey, right? But the critics. It's the critics. I guess the critics are what ruined it for me. Otherwise, I probably would have watched it and been like, I was like, I wonder if critics are talking about this. Because I could see why they would, and then sure enough, I go online after I'm done, and I'm like,
Absolutely.
there it is, like clockwork. And I know there'll be people, probably not in your audience, because your audience is cool, but there'll be people who'll be like, he's transphobic. It's like, it's not that. It's just that I'm not impressed.
Right.
But there's movies that will tackle that kind of stuff better anyway, right? So, anyway, that's enough. I'm going to stop talking about this now.
My second selection for a movie that I expected more from in 2023 is The Creator. So, The Creator is one that I went into with like pretty high hopes and pretty high expectations of like a baseline level of quality and a baseline level of enjoyment. And I guess it got there. Like, so like my two, again, like I said, I was using the first one to kind of set up the second one. Once again, I expected to go into, especially this movie, and have like a nuanced, compelling and complex conversation that advances the conversation about AI. And what I got was Avatar with AI. Like Pocahontas with AI. Like, that's what I took this movie as.
Why are you doing this movie so dirty?
Like, I just, again, what I felt like I got was like Avatar plus Star Wars with a little mix of like a little soup saw of Fallout in there for seasoning, I guess. And it just, I don't feel that it continued that conversation or contributed to that conversation. So again, it's really a very similar, almost the exact same criticism that I had against Mithrigan. And maybe I shouldn't have expected that movie to have that, but the whole thing is about AI. And interestingly enough, when you're kind of getting out-dueled in a conversation about artificial intelligence by a David Cage video game, I don't feel like you've accomplished your goal. So that's why the creator winds up on this list.
Shade at Detroit Become Human?
I'm just throwing shade at David Cage.
People like that game.
People like that game a lot. I thought it was fine.
This is a really sad pick.
I'm all over the place.
Everyone can get it this year.
Everybody can get it.
Yeah, this is sad. This was one of the more interesting sci-fi movies. Like, I'm talking pre-release, because I didn't give it much away. I will say that I liked it though. Mm-hmm. That's sad. That's just sad.
Yeah.
I'm just saddened by this one. But you know what? We suck because
we do.
Because
but go on.
Are we? Legitimate question. Are we just expecting too much from fiction movies?
Maybe.
Like, because you had mentioned that we expect more nuanced takes on these issues, but they're also fiction. So it's like, how nuanced is it going to be? And it's something I've thought about over the years. Because, like, nonfiction, obviously, you can just tackle, like, whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe, I guess, this is the expectation, so it probably is our fault. But just think about it. Like, it could just be us, it's just us expecting too much, maybe.
Right. Maybe. But, I mean, like, fiction has forever been a vessel for like exploring these ideas and expanding conversations on ideas and
yeah, but how nuanced
like that, so.
are the views? Like,
well,
in most, there's obviously the exception that comes out and you go, wow, that's like a super deep look.
Yeah.
Like, could it be that we are so entrenched in these conversations because of really media, like mainstream media, because AI is a massive conversation, and
right.
like my pick before was a massive conversation. Like, maybe we're just so entrenched in it that we know that there's more to be said because of that. But also, is fiction the place to do the nuanced view, or is fiction the place to get the conversation started? Because like the power of art is undeniable, right?
Right.
So you got to throw something out there. You make your baseline point, and hopefully explore it in an interesting way with deep characters or whatever when you can.
Maybe
that doesn't change. Like, I mean, that doesn't change anything. It's just something I'm thinking about. Like,
yeah.
Like, anyway, whatever. I'm just like calling us out.
Hashtag deep talk.
All right. So for my next one, I'm gonna read a little bit, but mine is Saltburn.
Oh yeah. Okay.
This was actually one that I almost disliked. I expected more because of the talent. The director's last film, Promising Young Woman, had like some serious sociological issues, but it was a distinct and clear vision, and I ultimately enjoyed it. The actors and stuff in this, I just was whatever, but mostly because this was getting hype.
Yes.
And this is where I'm just going to straight up read what I wrote. Called controversial, shocking, divisive, eat the rich, articles about the most shocking moments in the movie, and there's a gross scene or two, but this is a fairly empty drama unless you get something out of the low-hanging fruit of killing rich people, which can be done well in movies, and has been.
Yep.
But this isn't it. Someone made the argument, I don't know if it was like a critic or whatever, some article I read, someone made the argument that the main character does what he does, not because of what the rich has, but what he is not. And I don't think the movie does a good job of exploring that, so that doesn't stand either.
Okay.
It was so shocking. And there's a scene that's really gross. I guess I'm not going to spoil. I don't know. I don't know if I should spoil anything now or not. But that's really what it comes down to. The talent, because like I said, I do think the director will have a promising future, because she's a promising young woman. I actually don't know if she's young or not. But interesting vision, but Saltburn ain't it. And this one hurt me, because I really kind of expected a lot from this. And then when the hype was just thrown on top of it, I was like, oh, here we go. And so I like instantly ate that up the second I could watch it. I was like, oh, we're going. And then I'm like, shrug the movie, right? Like that's it.
Oh.
So Saltburn.
Yeah, because that was definitely one that I know a lot of people in kind of my movie circle were really excited for.
Yeah.
But then, interestingly enough, very few people seem to talk about after the fact. So you might be onto something there. And my final selection for a movie I expected more from in 2023, and this was like probably the big disappointment of 2023 for me, was Asteroid City.
Okay.
And here's what I expected from that movie. I expected to not be tired of Wes Anderson. Everybody can get it.
Overnight, he becomes tired of Wes Anderson because of one movie.
Dude. So, look. If you've watched these awards, you know that I'm a Wes Anderson guy. Like, The French Dispatch was like a top 10 movie for me that year.
Right.
Even in that, I was kind of starting to feel it a little bit, because that's like maybe the most Wes Anderson movie Wes Anderson has ever made.
Until this one.
And then he made Asteroid City.
Yeah.
And my problem with Asteroid City is that it's Wes Anderson taking his like Tim Burton-esque I'm a goofy artist, and it's the first time it's ever felt pretentious. And in this movie it felt pretentious.
Yeah.
It no longer felt genuine. It no longer felt like this is who Wes Anderson is. It's like, this is who Wes Anderson is trying to be. I felt like, and look, the cast in this movie is great. Across the board, it's such a great ensemble cast. Yeah. And, like, actors that I really dig, and there's composite moments in that movie that make it not a complete waste of time for me. So, like, I didn't hate the movie, but I'm just like, wow, I was so amped for this movie, and then at the end of it, I'm like, this is so pretentious.
Right.
And this gave me nothing that I was hoping for. And it's completely soured me on a director that I really liked. So, for the number one with a bullet in this award for me is Asteroid City. Hashtag everyone can get it.
Legendary directors can get it. He always is under threat of falling into the pretentious label.
Yeah.
With any movie he releases, you're always kind of expecting that, like, is this the one? Is this the one?
I feel like he's become the snake eating its own tail.
Yeah. Yeah, this is an interesting pick. I like it because anytime, like, just whether I agree or not, when you take down a big dog,
Right. It's true.
There's a part of me that's like, hey, let's go. So,
we don't punch down. We punch up.
We're punching everywhere. We'll punch each other. It's
true.
We have to. But yeah, that's a good pick. And my number one,
oh boy,
with a bullet is The Killer by David Fincher.
Ooh, okay.
I forgot that I was also coming in.
Everybody can get it.
Everyone can get it, and this hurts because I'm a Fincher fan. I literally rewatched Fight Club last night. I love Fincher. You give me that Zodiac. You give me that Seven. You give me that Fight Club. You give me The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, a movie that people didn't love, but I really dug it. I can't remember what else he's done. Jesus, the one Mank was good. That wasn't like my favorite of his, but that was a really good movie, and there's other ones that I like of his too, I'm sure. But you give me the ones that I listed first there, bangers.
Yep.
The Killer, not a banger. 7 out of 10.
Right.
I'm fine. Like, it's good. It's fine. But Fassbender is great as like an unempathetic killer.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like the only time where like the coldness of Fincher led me to kind of believe of like how shallow this was. You know what I mean? Like he has a distinct style, which usually really, really works.
Yeah.
And I was watching The Killer and just being like, man, I don't love this and this hurts. But I expected more because this was on my most anticipated at the mid-years.
Yep.
Like it's a neo-noir, like psychological thriller, all the stuff I love.
Yep.
With the Fincher, who I love. And the movie kind of just came and went. Like, I don't know, maybe a lot of people saw it. I don't know what the views on like Netflix or whatever was. But it just kind of came and went. A David Fincher movie should not just come and go.
No, that's the big, like, with a bullet. Like, a David Fincher movie should not just come and go.
This should have been top 10.
Yep.
Instead, it's not even on my top 30. It's not even an honorable mention.
Rough.
I know I've seen a lot of movies, but also that should be in there.
But also David Fincher.
Yeah, so that's why. So number 1 is The Killer.
I think both our number ones for this, like, take down people that should be.
Yeah.
There's no reason Asteroid City shouldn't have been top 15 for me.
Right.
No reason at all.
Right, and I'm not a massive Wes Anderson fan. I like Fantastic Mr. Fox a lot.
Yep.
I like Isle of Dogs. I like animated. I liked Moonrise Kingdom. I haven't seen a ton of Anderson because I know he's the quirky everyone calls.
Right.
Everyone says that about him. Even like our friend Zach has said that he's never really surprised when someone does like a Wes Anderson movie because he does have a very distinct, sometimes off-putting style because you either get it or you don't. But it's sad that he's leaving you behind, and I don't think Fincher is leaving me behind. But I really hope that this isn't a trend from now on because I don't want to lose Fincher.
Right.
I don't talk a lot about Fincher, but every time Fincher does something, I'm ready.
Yeah. So now we flip the coin on the other side and we talk about the 3 movies each that we expected less from in 2023. I'll go ahead and kick things off with my first one, and my first one was Elemental. So I came into this kind of expecting more of the Pixar formula of what if blank had feelings. And like they've been doing it for a long time now to sometimes diminishing returns. And by diminishing returns, I just kind of mean like, let's say like Inside Out, weirdly enough, like one of the few Pixar movies that will ever get a sequel because it's coming out this year. And honestly, the first few times I watched the trailer for Elemental, I'm like, I don't really think this is going to be much of anything special. And then I saw this movie twice in theaters because I saw it and then was like, oh, I kind of fell in love with this, and a friend of mine is going to love this too. So Caitlin and I went and saw it, and she fell in love with it too. And so it was like it was so special because it completely defied what I expected from it, not once but twice. And then for a whole second person to also fall in love with the movie, it was like, okay, cool. Like I definitely did not expect Elemental to hit me on the level that it did. And also, I don't think like it has the content in there that is like you can chew, like if you're an adult you can chew on it. Not necessarily to the level of like a Zootopia or something like that, but like there's commentary in there, and there's adult conversations that can be had about some of the themes that are in it that you can kind of chew on, and it's not just surface level. And I always appreciate when animated movies can accomplish that. So Elemental winds up my first one on this list.
I'm glad you loved it. I am kind of tired of Pixar. It's like they have a pretty consistent level of quality, just even if there's a few missteps. I don't think most of their movies, I haven't seen all of them, but most of their movies, or that I've seen anyway, they're not bad, and sometimes great, but I find myself being less and less interested when Pixar comes out, because I'm just kind of a little tired. I really wish, I guess, are they kind of toning it back this year and only doing one? I guess I'll...
Yeah,
I guess, like, this might be a step in the right direction, but honestly, I would be okay with, like, a Pixar movie every few years.
Right.
At this point.
I believe they are, like, because, like, the only thing they've got on the schedule this year is Inside Out 2. That's it.
Yeah, and I liked Inside Out. I guess maybe even a little more than you did, but I'm not even that excited. They're great at what they do. Their animation style is theirs. They like basically own it because it's so well done and so detailed and stuff. And I did like Elemental. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
So it's fine. It had some heart at the end. Like again, the animation is great. The premise is kind of cool and stuff. I'm just a little tired. So the thing is, like, that also means that Pixar might be loading up for an expected less for me too down the road because if I'm just kind of tired of it and I just watch one and it makes me go wow, then exactly. It will be like Pixar may show up on mine in a future year, but not this year. So my first is A Man Called Otto.
Nice.
I don't know. I just didn't expect. I'm not saying I loved it. But Tom Hanks, I respect. He doesn't drive me to movies. I've never been a massive Hanks fan, but he did great. And I guess I just didn't expect too much from it because I just thought it would be an okay drama, and it was better than that. It was emotional, well thought out, fairly nuanced, honestly, and even though it does everything it can to manipulate you, and in some movies I've criticized for that. Like The Judge that you mentioned at, I think, the retrospective. I was okay with it.
Yeah.
There was a few times it sprinkled in some like topical issues where I was like, what, why? You didn't need that. But you know what, I enjoyed it. I got no hate in my heart. But I really didn't expect to even like it as much as I did.
Otto did, but Tyler doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? This doesn't happen very often. We have a consensus.
Yeah!
Because A Man Called Otto is in mine as well. One of the best fiction novels from a Swedish writer ever. Yeah. So it is so well regarded that often adaptations of these works that are so beloved usually always fall short.
Right.
Of the lofty expectation that you have based on the source material. Occasionally that can get flipped on its head, but usually if source material is so widely beloved, it can usually fall short, and this doesn't. I don't know why I was so shocked that Tom Hanks absolutely killed this. I don't know why I was surprised. I shouldn't have been.
No, because this role was made for someone.
It was.
His type of acting, right?
100%. It was absolutely made for him, and he is one of those actors that I think chooses his roles so judiciously that you probably shouldn't be surprised when he's great in them. Even a movie I mentioned earlier, Asteroid City, I think he's one of the better parts of it. Yeah. So it's so it shouldn't have come as any surprise, but it honestly did because I expected that it would not meet the expectations of the lofty source material, and it absolutely did.
You nailed it.
Nailed it. It's not very often these awards will have a consensus, but that's really cool.
My next one is Transformers: Rise of the Beast.
Ooh, I love this. Okay.
Yeah, here we go. All right, so I've never loved the Transformers movies. The Bay ones, I like the first and second one. I don't love them. I don't remember how many there were. I know there was one I really despised, too. Right. It was the one where he becomes evil for a bit, Optimus Prime.
That was either 3 or 4.
That sucked.
Yeah.
And I hear Bumblebee was pretty good, but I didn't watch it because, I don't know. I just didn't watch it. Right. And then I know this isn't Bay directed or anything like that. I watched this, and I really, really liked it. And in terms of this award, it just, why would I expect much from a Transformers movie?
Right.
Especially when they're over 2 hours, although this one I believe is shorter than at least the Bay ones, which is a good move. You don't need to make really long ones, although it was probably only 10 or 15 minutes shorter, but that matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I liked, it has 2 names, Beast Wars and Beasties. I think it was Beasties in Canada.
It was, yes. I think so.
But I didn't grow up with Transformers per se. When my older brother did, Optimus Prime and all those. But I did grow up with Beast Wars, as you would have.
Yes.
And so I did have a special place in my heart for that part of it.
Yeah.
I still didn't expect anything. But it was great.
It was.
It was great. If this is the quality that the Transformers movie has going further, you're gonna like right the ship and have a really good franchise.
Hell yeah, Optimus Primal.
Yeah.
Optimus Primal is so good in that movie.
Yeah. I was so happy I watched this. I go, did I just really like a Transformers movie?
Yes.
And I did. So that was my pick.
Nailed it. I love that pick. That's great. And my final selection for a movie that I expected less from in 2023 is Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. So my expectation going into that movie is like right around what I got from the last Dungeons & Dragons movie, which is like, I don't know, like a 5 out of 10, like don't completely waste my time. Because that's what the last D&D movie was. And at the end of this, I was like, wow, not only was this like a really solid fantasy movie, but it had those elements in it throughout of like, this feels like it feels to have a campy D&D friend group.
Yeah.
Like that's just what this just feels like, a D&D friend group having fun. Yeah. Like the whole movie feels like that. And I'm like, this movie has no right to be as good as it is. I said that to myself multiple times as I'm watching it. Like, there's no reason that this movie should be as good as it is. Yeah, I did not expect to have nearly as much fun with it. I didn't expect it to feel as good as it felt. And yeah, D&D Honor Among Thieves. That landed on this list immediately after I watched it. I'm like, I know this is going to be one of the ones that's on there.
So I played D&D a couple times with our friend group. You were there once. I don't think you were there the other time where our friend got choked. I don't remember you being there.
No, I don't think so.
That's a great story. But
I was there for when one guy got shot in the...
You were there to kill us when you were the leader and you made a decision and we died. We all died.
Right.
I bring this up because this movie
we took the high road? Was that what it was?
I can't remember. You wanted us to get more experience. So we got our experience, the campaign ended. But I bring this up for a reason.
My bad, dog.
Because that movie is essentially, you had said a campy friend group. That movie is essentially our friend group if it was good. Like our campaign if it was good.
Yeah.
Because we were campy and silly during it.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie felt like a much better version of that.
Yeah.
So that's a good pick. It's not mine. I would just add why expect anything good from a D&D movie?
Right.
My last one is Saw X. Ooh. I verbalized my expectations to him once when I saw the trailer, and I said, "This trailer looks stupid." And maybe Saw trailers did this. I don't remember this other Saw trailers at this point. They made it seem like this super fun ride, like Jigsaw the Killer. Let's have some fun. And it's like, yes, I know movies are fun, but like Jigsaw should be terrifying. I mean, it's a horror movie, so it should be terrifying.
Yeah.
So slap on the Hello Zep theme from the first movie in your trailer and just do that. But it was like, I don't even remember what song they used, but it was like more upbeat and like fun, like, oh, Saw. And I'm like, the tone of, is this the tone? This seems really lame.
Yeah.
And also, they haven't made a good Saw movie since the first one. Or a great one. I actually don't hate 2 and 3. But I hated 4, and then I pieced out until Spiral came back, and I was like, this sucks too. And I never expected to come back, and I was like, let's do it. Let's watch Saw. And you know what? This movie was quite good.
Yeah.
It had the right tone. The trailer, I mean, maybe I'm alone in this. Maybe people thought the trailer was really cool, but the trailer just almost ruined this for me. I was like, oh my God. Yeah,
I didn't have a lot of high expectations based off the trailer either.
Yeah. So it's really the trailer. This is why it wins, because the trailer set me up for something that you really didn't get, because the actual movie ended up being a lot more tonally consistent and solid.
Yeah.
So I was happy. I was like pleased that a Saw movie didn't suck.
Yeah.
So.
Good job.
Yeah.
And now we move on to the movies that we can't believe we loved and can't believe we hated for 2023. This is one selection for each of us. We're going to start with the movie we can't believe we loved in 2023, and we're going to have Tyler kick this off.
All right, I'm going to say this. I have a lot of problems with these awards every year. I always have one. But I'm very rarely shocked that I love, and this is love, not like, love a movie or hate. Because normally I'm like, wow, this looks like crap, and it happens that I'm like, oh, this looks like crap, and I actually loved it. But so I stretch this a little bit because it's really just, it's more of a I can't believe I really liked, not technically loved. The Equalizer 3.
Oh, okay.
Because normally Denzel, my boy, my dad, no, Denzel plus action movie is success.
Yeah.
Denzel is success. But for whatever reason, the Equalizer series has never really gotten me. They've been okay. I mean, I had criticisms of the first one, especially of the action scene really forced. Like, they were forcing him to have to use the stuff around him instead of just, using a gun. It just felt really cheesy to me, even though Denzel was fine and the movies ultimately are okay. The Equalizer 3 was the first time in the series where I was watching it and I thought, they did something really interesting and just really solid with this. And I can finally say that, hey, I really liked an Equalizer movie. So that's my pick. The Equalizer 3.
That's got to feel very validating.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's Denzel, and it's like, I want to find every reason to love this, and I haven't yet.
Yeah.
So third time, and for it to happen third time around is pretty,
And it's clear he loves
cool,
this
right?
franchise.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't. But now it's like, all right.
My selection for the movie I can't believe I loved in 2023 is Blackberry.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
That's a movie that should not work. It shouldn't. A little Canadian The Social Network, starring Jay Baruchel, about a phone that people vaguely remember having in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a movie that should work. With a writer, director, actor, Matt Johnson, playing triple duty in this movie, like, his passion project here. Jay Baruchel, probably with the best work of his entire career. Glenn Howerton as Jim Balsillie, who's just, like, comically, like, cartoonishly evil and destined to bring hockey to Hamilton. A very Canadian storyline.
Yeah.
I'm bringing hockey to Hamilton, damn it. I don't care what I have to do.
Yeah.
Like, and yet it does. And it works beautifully. And all of its composite elements are perfect. It's tonally perfect. It's almost painfully Canadian to watch this movie. You could just tell right from the first frames, like, this was made in Canada.
Yeah.
Like, you could just tell. Just based on the fact that it is a movie that should not work, and yet works so well, that's the movie I can't believe I loved. I thought I was going to enjoy it because I enjoyed Jay Baruchel.
Yeah.
And I've seen Jay Baruchel in things that I'm like, this movie's not great, but I like Jay Baruchel.
Yeah, I'm always rooting for him.
And that's kind of what I figured this movie was going to be. And then I'm like, no, this is like genius. Like, this is really, really good. So I did not expect to love Blackberry the way that I did.
Yeah, so I think this suffered for me from me having seen it so long ago. I wish it came out more recently because I really liked it too. I gave it an 8 out of 10 and didn't expect much from it. I just really got two things to add. I know this will come up later and I was thinking about maybe adding it in later, but whatever. One, I lived in Waterloo briefly. Now, I wasn't knee deep in any of this and it was like 2008, 2009, whatever. But I remember people being so shocked that I didn't have a BlackBerry.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not even from here, but like, I have no idea, right? But there was a bit of me, because even though I was only there for about a year, it's really the only place I ever lived besides where I live now. So I watching it, I'm like, wow, Waterloo.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like,
It's that nice, yeah.
Also, any movie that has music from Matt Good, who I've not recently, like in terms of the last couple of weeks, but this like last year, recently rediscovered like his hit songs, and they're so good. And Slint, like that's okay with me.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it has a good soundtrack. So yes, that is an excellent pick. I wouldn't say that I loved it because the love for me, well, I guess the Equalizer gave it an 8.5, so it'd be but I don't love it. 9 is usually love to me.
Right.
That's when I start throwing out, I love this movie. But really liked.
Nice.
You know, I really liked it, and you're right, it shouldn't have worked.
It shouldn't. No, it abjectly should not have worked. We flip the coin again, and we take a look at the films we can't believe we hated in 2023, and Tyler's going to kick us off once again.
So this is going to be short. My pick is Smoking Causes Coughing.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. It's a play on the cheesy Power Rangers thing. Only they're named after smoking, like tobacco and stuff.
Okay.
I can't remember what their Tobacco Squad, maybe, I don't know, something like that, right? I don't remember what they're called. And I thought, this could be fun, some like satire, parody, making like homage to the cheesy Power Rangers, and it's more adult in nature.
Right.
And then you come to find out that this movie was quite beloved, too, in some ways that I saw. Now, I didn't know that at the time, but I just thought and it's... Is it a French movie? Is the war on France continuing? I think it might be, but I could be wrong about that, so I don't know. Let's hold up on launching the missiles.
The next offensive, yeah. Okay.
But I'm pretty sure it's French. I just kind of, like, when do I not like, essentially, like, a superhero movie?
Right.
Right? And I didn't like this. I didn't abjectly, like, hate it, like... You know, a spoiler, it's not my number one hated movie of the year or anything, but I wouldn't say I hate it, yeah. So, yeah, Smoking Causes Coughing.
Interesting.
Which is actually like a kind of a cool name.
It's kind of a fun, when you said it, I was like, that's kind of a fun name.
There's a lot to really, like, there's a lot to chew on, like, in terms of expectations, but then it didn't live up to any of it.
Now, I did immediately kind of hate it when I heard the name, because it sounded like a Morgan Spurlock movie. So, I was like, ugh. I wonder what this is, but yeah, alright, fair enough.
Also, it was a cheater pick.
My selection for a movie I can't believe I hated in 2023 is... Big George Foreman, The Miraculous Story of the Once and Future Heavyweight Champion of the World.
God, now I gotta listen
Full title. So... If you watched the mid-years, I think you probably already know why I didn't like this movie. And the problem with it, to reiterate the problems with it, the bar has been set to a certain point for both celebrity biopics and boxing movies. We saw the bar for boxing movies this year.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for this movie to exist in the same year as Creed 3.
Right.
And look the way that it does versus the way that Creed 3 looks. And I understand Creed 3 had more money behind it, but you don't have to have $200 million to make a boxing movie look good. And this movie barely tries to make the boxing choreography look good.
Right.
It looks like he's underwater. And I get that they're trying to mimic George Foreman, but if you go back and watch old George Foreman fights, it doesn't look like he's boxing underwater. Direction and storytelling, and again, boxing choreography, just the overall presentation of this movie, it falls so short of where the bar is for these types of movies. I was so predisposed to love this movie. A boxing movie about the life and career of George Foreman. I was predisposed to like this because we grew up in the latter George Foreman era when he returned to boxing. Like we grew up in that. So like I was predisposed to really like this. And I'm like, wow, this feels like it's barely even trying. So that's why Big George Foreman, The Miraculous Story of the Once and Future Heavyweight Champion of the World is a movie I can't believe I hated in 2023.
I'm basically always easier on boxing movies. So with that said, I didn't hate that movie. I like kind of enjoyed it a little bit, but also I don't care enough about it to defend it.
Fair enough.
So, all right. I got you, bro. That's cool. Yeah, but everything you said is probably true. I just remember watching it being like, it's whatever. And I've moved on with my life.
I haven't.
No, clearly not. Why don't you just say the title one more time?
Big George Foreman, The Miraculous Story. We're going to move on now to our 2 new miscellaneous awards for 2023. The first of which being the one that I selected, which is something or someone that's back on the map in 2023. So somebody or something that's been gone for a while, you forgot about it maybe, but now it came back in 2023 in a big bad way. And my selection for Back on the Map in 2023 is Eli Roth.
Yeah.
So Eli Roth has not directed anything or written anything since 2015, and nothing that I've seen since The Man with the Iron Fists in 2012. And then just randomly drops like, hey, here's a cheesy Scream-style slasher flick based off of a short film that I made in 2007. And we're just like, you've been gone for a decade. And all of a sudden you just drop this like, again, this like cheesy Scream-style movie that like I think stands shoulder to shoulder with a lot of Scream at its best. Like, I think within this genre, Thanksgiving is really, really good and really, really comparable to some of the better movies within that genre. So the fact that Eli Roth just kind of went away for 8 years and then just came back and dropped this movie that I thought was really effective within a genre, Eli Roth gets my award this year for Back on the Map.
Yeah, I didn't realize he really had been gone so long. Like, Roth has never been a name to me, you know?
Right.
Like, I've always kind of just been like, you know, he kind of came up around the torture porn era, and Hostel was what it was. I just was never really my thing. Didn't realize he had anything to do with The Man with the Iron Fists. That's cool. I guess that's like my favorite movie he's done.
Yeah.
Like, or maybe Thanksgiving, honestly. I don't know, but that's a good pick. Good job. Okay, so going along with your horror whatever revival, I guess, because he's mostly a horror director.
Yep.
I'm going to stay on that theme. The Exorcist.
Okay.
Because there was technically a show that ran for 2 seasons in the late 2010s, but we're not counting that because this is a movie show. Also, I didn't know it existed. But that doesn't mean anything because I'm not a big Exorcist guy. Hasn't been a movie since 2005. And then David Gordon Green, not content with running Halloween into the ground, decided to come back and do the same to The Exorcist.
It's true.
Now, don't get me wrong. I don't hate this movie. It's basically Shrug the movie to me. It's like 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
My cop out rating. But, I mean, it's back on the board.
Yep.
And now I'm going to just basically read this. And let's just talk about David Gordon Green for a minute.
I was going to say, this is where David Gordon Green lives now.
Yeah, and I hate this. I looked through his work to see why, A, he keeps getting classic properties to destroy, and B, why I care about him. Like, why is this guy a name to me? Like, I haven't seen some of his movies that people seem to like most, like Stronger. This guy's had a solid career, even with the stinkers, doing some good movies and directing a bunch of Eastbound and Down and Mythic Quest episodes. I like both of those shows quite a bit. He even produced some underrated gems like Shotgun Stories, which I love.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what is going on with him? Like, what? Why is he doing this to Halloween and The Exorcist this year? Like, why is he doing it to The Exorcist? Maybe this guy is doing God's work in some sense. Like he's killing existing franchises, so Hollywood needs to make new property. He's just like, I'm gonna end all of these. But really, it's just like, The Exorcist comes back. I know people love The Exorcist.
Yeah.
I don't think that the first movie was especially amazing, but I know at the time people had really strong feelings. My own mother, who doesn't love horror movies, I asked her about it one time. She's like, I was so scared of that movie. And fair enough. Right? Just because I didn't love it doesn't mean I don't acknowledge its legendary status and its importance and the name value of it. It's been gone for a while. Quite a while for movies.
Yeah.
Almost 20 years.
Absolutely.
And then it comes back with... That's it!
And as an aside, you just know that in like, within 5 years, David Gordon Green's going to be doing like a Freddy Krueger movie.
Yeah, just...
That's one of the horror franchises that's right there, ripe for somebody to pick it up and poop on it.
And I'll hope, and I'll hope that he does something good with it. I just you said that that's where he lives now, and I just don't like this for him.
No, I want him to move.
He's like fairly high concept, at least like with Halloween. Like I understand he was trying to do something kind of interesting with it.
Right.
And The Exorcist, he didn't really do anything. I don't think that interesting with it. But it was like an okay-ish movie.
Right.
But yeah, so, I mean, it's funny because you said, like, something that comes back in a big bad way. This didn't really come back in a big bad way, but it came back.
It came back. It's here.
Yeah, it's here.
Moving on now to Tyler's brand new award for 2023, which is just a thing surrounding film that made you happy in 2023. Very simple, but very high concept. Tyler, you go for it.
Because we don't always want to dunk on things. We want to bring some happiness. And nothing made me happier this year than the success of the Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, nice. All right.
It was well received by, like, everyone. Like, not necessarily everyone loved it, but it was well received, except, like, it had a fairly low tomato meter score because critics are wrong and dumb.
Right.
But it was well received. People like it, you know? More importantly, it made a lot of money.
Right.
And I haven't followed a box office that hard since probably like Infinity War / Endgame, because that was an interesting box office climb, right? But this I was like, make the money. Oh, we going to $1 billion, nice. And we did it. Mario,
most successful video game movie of all time.
Yeah, second most successful movie of the year. If Barbie didn't come along and ruined everything with its feminism. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. But no, it's second highest grossing movie of the year. Barbie, Mario, and Oppenheimer was the year. But yeah, I just was so happy. I was so happy. Like, I would have been happy if it would have, doubled his budget or whatever, made a decent amount of money. The fact that it hit $1 billion, I am so freaking happy. Like, baby Tyler, who has been with Mario since I was probably, I don't even know when I started playing video games, since before I knew how.
Right.
Really, just be like, press some buttons. 30 plus years I've been with Mario, and I'm so glad that the movie was so good and made so much money.
Awesome. And my thing surrounding film that made me happy in 2023 actually changed last night.
Sweet.
It was originally going to be funny, kind of similar to you, was like the success of like the little movie that could. And the examples that I kind of used for it was Blackberry and Dumb Money.
Okay.
Like, both of these like kind of little movies that could, like Blackberry more so because like Dumb Money at least like had a budget behind it, right? So that was what I was originally going to go with. Until I'm sitting at my computer last night, finishing up, the research and everything, putting stuff together for this, and thinking about the movie awards and stuff like that. The thing that made me happiest about film in 2023 is the fact that you and I saw more movies together this year.
We did?
We did.
I didn't think we saw that many.
We didn't see a ton, but in years past, we've almost avoided seeing a number of movies together.
Yeah.
Because we have had this fear of talking about too many movies that it might impact what we talk about here. Right. And might kind of rob us and the viewing public of our genuine reaction. And we kind of came to an understanding this year, and because I remember this conversation specifically where we were like, look, if we see a movie together, it's fair game to talk about it. Because we can't see a movie together and then deprive ourselves of the conversation afterwards.
Right.
So based on that, we did see a few more movies this year together than we've seen in years past.
Right.
And that made me happy because that was like the genesis of me being the movie watcher that I am now, was you and I going to see a ton of movies and then loitering like we were drug dealers in front of Zellers for like 3 hours after the fact, longer than the movie was, talking about the movie.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of helped me build up to become like kind of the movie viewer and wannabe critic, or only critic that matters aside from you.
And Castle.
Again, Castle.
The best funny critic in the business.
Like that's kind of what built that up, was that like having those like deep, long conversations about movies and, bullshitting and all this stuff. So the fact that we kind of got back to that a little bit more this year, that was the thing that made me happiest this year.
That was really heartfelt. so I'm going to ignore it.
Exactly.
No, but we can go see more movies.
Yeah.
I think we also made the agreement that after a certain point, we won't talk about the movies
Right.
that we see together. Like, I don't know what month we chose, probably like October.
I think it was like October or November.
Yeah, we can go see
something
more
like that.
movies.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's great.
And it doesn't mean we're going to go back to the same kind of volume that we had before, because my God.
No, and you also go to movies with other people. But yeah, just message me and be like, I want to go to this movie.
Exactly.
Like, I don't really go to movies very often anymore. But that's good because also, yeah, like our conversations about movies were hugely important to me as well. So, I mean, I do this every year now. And also we've learned that it doesn't really deprive us of the conversation that much. Like, you might remember, oh yeah, he, really liked this or really hated this, but, not everything. This stuff is still like a shocker.
Mm-hmm. And we close the miscellaneous movie awards video with the two big ones. The one that only I give, and then the one that only Tyler gives, and only Tyler can give. So we're going to start with my award for I Don't Get It. I don't get something about film, something about a movie, or just the existence of a movie in general that, like, I don't get where this conversation is coming from, or where popular sentiment is coming from, or I don't get why this exists. This can go in a number of different directions.
That's such a harsh criticism. I don't get why this exists.
We can go in a lot of different directions with this, but my award in 2023 for I Don't Get It is the anti-Wish sentiment
Okay.
/ the anti-Disney zeitgeist. Basically.
That is so funny considering off camera what I was ranting about. Yeah,
Exactly.
this isn't what I expected.
This is what
from
we
this,
talked
but
about.
This is awesome.
So,
All right.
Wish, the movie Wish, kind of became the poster child for this anti-Disney movement. And it really stoked the fires of this anti-Disney movement. Because despite the fact that Wish accomplishes exactly what it wants to accomplish, which is it wants to be an ode to old Disney, and it is. I'm not saying it's as good as old Disney, I'm saying it's an ode to old Disney, which it is. It's a fairy tale, you goobers. Like everyone like, oh my God, the storytelling is so pedestrian, blah, blah, blah. It's a fairy tale. It begins with once upon a time in a land far, far away. That's how fairy tales start. Like, I don't understand I don't get what people were expecting going into Wish. It's very obvious what Wish is trying to be and supposed to be. And it's exactly what it's trying to be and supposed to be. It's not a commentary necessarily on how good or great the movie is. But it's like, it's gotten to the point with Disney, and I don't know if this is just like overall, I hesitate, I guess, to call it anti-woke backlash.
It is.
Or
No, it is. 100%. I'll do it, but I'll rant more about that in a second.
Fair enough. So if it's just that, but now it's gotten to the point that the name, when Disney puts their name on it, that's what elicits the response to the movie. It's got nothing to do with what the movie itself actually does. It's the name, it's judging it by its cover. It's the name on it that causes people to respond to a movie, and I quote, and that was the internet's whole response to this movie was right from the start, before the movie even came out.
Yeah.
It's just the constant internet whine of Disney and got nothing to do with the movie itself.
Right.
And that's like, I don't get how broken all your brains are at this point. That this is what this response is before you've even seen the movie. So that's my award this year for I don't get it. I don't get what you dummies are doing.
Remind me in a bit to tell you what I thought it was going to be. I actually liked where you went with this more than what I thought. So
all right.
That's awesome.
Beautiful.
But you know this, but they don't know this. They might gather this if you listen to me talk. I do follow the anti-woke / conservative certain commentators.
Mm-hmm.
I like to hear their perspective. Some of them I've really grown to dislike. I won't call them out, not that they'll ever see this, but there's like some people that I'm like, these guys are intelligent, I'll listen to what they have to say.
Yeah.
Just like on the left, I'll you know, I want to listen to what they have to say too. So I do follow these anti-woke people, some of these anti-woke people, and you nailed it exactly. Like, so they're already primed to dislike it, as you were saying. So sorry, I'm basically repeating some of what you say here, but they're basically primed to dislike anything Disney. So even if you have a conventional, and I've never seen Wish, I'm nothing against it. I just came out fairly late in the year. I wasn't going to the theater.
Yep.
It wasn't, and if I did, that would have been the first movie I would have went to see. Conventional storytelling or pedestrian storytelling, as you said, can be completely fine, as we've talked about over the years.
Yeah.
Can be great, even. And again, I don't know if Wish is great. You say it's not necessarily great, but fine. It has to work so much harder for these people, like, because they already have it in them to take a look at anything that they do and say it sucks. So when they get something average, they're like, oh, I'm not doing anything new. But then if they try to do something new, they hate that too. And it sucks because we're defending big bad Disney.
Right.
But you can be critical of corporations, as you should with Disney, in certain aspects, while acknowledging the good that they do in other aspects. And no, Disney, and yes, Disney can make some good movies. Like, not even just like the Star Wars and the Marvel and all that stuff, like Disney. Like, you know what I mean? Like what's wrong with an ode to old school Disney? Isn't that what they want? This is what they want. This is what they constantly bitch about. Right. Is how woke Disney is. They're so far gone on the other way that they cannot see. Zootopia could come out, and I think they're making a sequel.
I think they're
so that's gonna, or a show, or both. Whatever. The first Zootopia could go out, which is by all accounts a masterclass in animation, in characterization, in how it tackles racism, which I know is like an overdone thing these days. I get it. Think that could come out today, and they'd be like, huh, more woke stuff about racism. Yeah. And just completely miss one of the greatest Disney movies they've done in the last, like Disney Animation Studios or whatever they're called, not Pixar, not whatever. One of the greatest movies they've done in the last like 20 years. Yeah. Right? 100%. Standing among some of the greats, even, I would say.
Main event time, ladies and gentlemen, the Castle Award for the 10th Justin and Tyler Movie Awards. I am now going to shut up. Many of you have been looking forward to this for many years, and I'm going to give Tyler the floor.
Okay, I'm going to read a lot, and this is going to be quite long because there's a lot of honorable mentions. But first...
Disclaimer.
I was scared at first near, like, the early parts of the year because there wasn't anything great rabbit-related, and I was like, oh, come on, not in, like, the Chinese year of the rabbit. Come on, you can't do this to me. And it's funny because you had even made the joke to me before when I was telling you about this. I don't know when. Like, I think last time we hung out, maybe. And you said, why don't you just give it to the whole year? And I considered it, like, early on. I was like, I had that as the backup, so it's funny because, like, you said that only I can give the Castle Award, but you can give it too, just not while, like, you know.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to give it, but...
All right. You can do it, but me, though.
Yeah, I mean, he did do it. He did a really good job at the retrospective. But but what I loved about when you said that to me is, like, your mindset is where the Castle Award has to be. That outside the box. Like, yeah, I'll just give it to the whole year. Because it was born of me just being like, maybe I'll just give an award to my bunny. Yeah. And I ended up giving it to the zookeeper's wife that year. But anyway, all right. Honorable mentions. We had Unicorn Wars, where the bunny seemed to represent purity, even in a movie that is pretty messed up, and the bunny doesn't get killed, which I was expecting. We Have a Ghost, where there's a stuffed bunny, and another David Harbour movie, second year in a row, that represents bunnydom to some degree. That's so Harbour may be growing into a bunny representative. We had Bad Luck Spot, which was based on the movie Luck, which I didn't see, because I didn't know there was bunnies in it. I would have watched that the year it came out. It was a short film, and it had a hazmat suit wearing bunnies where the bunnies get down to business efficiently and without pause, which appealed to me because Castle has serious work ethic. Fucking, I'm reading it all. 2 examples. He has Timothy Hay mats that he will chew, hop away, sometimes binky, and then go right back to it. Then at the last house I lived in, he kept chewing at the bottom of my bed, which was lower than the one I have now for a good year or so without me knowing until one day he went up in the box spring, and I was like, what? He just worked at it, right? The director about that short film said, yes, they already knew they wanted a short about bunnies. Everyone on the crew loves these bunny characters, and there's a lot of fun built around them already. So as far as I'm concerned, Skydance Animation is a studio who knows what's up. There's The Velveteen Rabbit, a story about unconditional love that actually explains why they thump. And the kid is a stuffed bunny that he loves more than anything that comes to life. Also, same way with my thumper stuffed animal, now obviously Castle, the real bun. There's Scary Girl with a character named Bunny Guru who describes himself as a philosopher and Renaissance rabbit. As far as I'm concerned, Renaissance rabbit can go right up there with Petey Rab being a rascal rebel rabbit. But I'm giving the Castle Award to a short film, which I'm disqualifying from the top 30 because I already kind of have a shorter film in there, and I don't like to load the top 30 with too many short films. So I'm disqualifying this from the top 30, even though I do really love it, but I am representing it here. So, Where Rabbits Come From is the name of the short film that I desperately tried to track down once I heard of it. When I heard of this, I searched for places to rent it or stream it for like months. And I did a check, like it was in festivals, and I was like, there's got to be a festival that's going to let me rent this, right? And just one night, having not looked for a couple weeks, I was like, we'll look for it again. And I found some festival, can't remember what it was. I paid $15 to watch this movie, although technically it was part of like a 40-minute collection of short films, but it was the last night that it was up, and I didn't know when the timer ran out, so I was like, I gotta watch this! So I just watched that. In a cold, gray, dystopian world, a widowed father rabbit challenges absolute authority by trying to infuse an ounce of wonder and a little bit of hope, magic, and possibility into his daughter's life after the mysterious disappearance of her mother. A story of resilience, love, and hope in the face of darkness. And the director says it's about a world where imagination is outlawed.
Wow.
Okay, it's I got 9 points about it. 1, it's from Canada. 2, this world is cold and gray sometimes. The lifeless world is black and white, but there's color in the other parts, like the ending when they are free. Memories are sepia. It's not an original idea, but it's one that works. 3, the cutout animation is beautiful. I love cutout animation. And they blend some more traditional animation, like where the magic happens. It's just a great mixture of animation styles. 4, a rabbit tries to infuse wonder, hope, magic, and possibility. That's Castle. 5, resilience, love, and hope in the face of darkness. That's Castle. 6, this father rabbit is bucking authority. Castle bucks my authority all the time. There are other rabbits oppressing the 2 main character rabbits, because it's like a dystopia with rabbits. It makes sense that rabbits would oppress other rabbits, because I swear to God, rabbits have a death wish anyway. 8, the kid main bunny character has a stuffed rabbit, so even bunnies need bunnies for support. They are social animals, after all. 9, it has the sense to have a final scene be one rabbit freeing another from the magician, which I hate. I hate this, like, pulling the rabbit from the hat. They don't do that anymore in Magic. Right. Like, I love Magic. Like, I watch a lot of it. I kind of learned it for a little while there. I miss doing Magic, to be honest, like card Magic, but but then they hop off to a tree where the 3rd family member is. They hop away, and it's wonderful. It is, and all that. So, I'm awarding the Castle Award on the grounds this year, because it's always different, right? It's philosophical, it's character development. I'm rewarding it on dystopian resilience. So we can add that to the variety that is the Castle Award.
The most complex award, and the most, like, nourishing to the soul, I think, award that has ever been given anywhere ever.
Yeah, who would have thunk it, though? Like, I'm just a joke / way to honor my rabbit in the first year has become this, like, friggin', like, award that just tackles whatever, right? It's usually, like, philosophical and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's my Castle Award. Where Rabbits Come From. If you have a chance to see it, you should see it, because it's really good. It's a really good short film.
Please enjoy this 9-point report. Why this movie. That's fantastic. That's really good. There you have it, folks. Our miscellaneous awards in the 10th Justin and Tyler Movie Awards are now in the books. The movies we can't believe we loved, can't believe we hated, expected more, expected less, back on the map for 2023, what made us happy in film this year, the Castle Award, the movie that's the award for stuff that I don't get. I don't understand you people at all. That's all been in there. You've enjoyed it, hopefully up to this point. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch what's probably the biggest single video that we will do in this award. Coming up next, our People Award section, where we talk about our favorite actors, actresses, and directors of 2023.